We have a lot of energy right now. Our Schumann is spiking very large, bright white frequencies. So we have high energies coming in. We had an X class flare, we had an M7 flare, we had an M6 flare. We're in a radio blackout again. We have a chance of a solar radiation storm. Our electron flux energies are going to go up. We have our planetary alignments that are taken into play today. So it's just an overload. We'll just say it's an overload. So Acension symptoms today are going to be high. So this weekend, there's going to be a lot of energy. Starting next week, though, we look like we're going to have a little bit of a die down. So we'll get into that as well. But let's talk about the planetary alignments because we have our moon and is shifting into Sagittarius today. This is going to provide a broader perspective of all of our options. So the first part of the day is going to help us get rid of like all those old narratives that we think about ourselves, and then it's going to provide a whole different perspective for us about our truth and what we're looking for, the goals that we have in mind and how to achieve them. So we're gonna rediscover a new truth about ourselves and what we're capable of. There's a tension in the air. Yet again, it's hard to think. The clarity, the cognizance is just not there today. So don't rely on that today. Later, our moon is going to interact with Pluto today. This is going to help us see ourselves in a position of power and control over our new goals and our new dreams. So dream big because we can see ourselves literally achieving that in the future. And despite all of the crazy emotions and all of the crazy energy that is coming in and all the crazy symptoms that go with it, later in the day, our heart and our head are going to align, and it's going to create a much more positive mindset. So we're going to be in a fog pretty much the whole day, maybe the whole weekend, but we are going to have an alignment later in today. So make sure that you stick to your awareness, be positive in a state of gratitude, and just see where that all unfolds. So this is what we have going on right now. So massive white light is pouring in. You may feel completely drained, like you want to stay in bed all day. You have several migraines. They are just not going away. Maybe you've had a migraine for the whole entire week. Like I said, cognizance issues are going to be big. Those Acension symptoms, you're going to have upset stomachs. You're just not going to be able to think or talk today. So buckle up because our frequency is about to rise. Even if it hasn't shown on the Schumann yet, it is going to rise, and we will see a lot of effects for humanity for this. Because today we've already peaked at an amplitude of 66. However, our frequency a little bit low, but it still has to catch up to this because this is just brand new today, incoming now. So lots of energy today. Not only that, but we did have an X1.1 flare yesterday from our region 3615 that is heading off of the southwestern limb of the sun. It gave us an M7.1 flare, it gave us an M6.1 flare, it gave us an M2.3 flare, and then what did they give us today? An M3.2, I don't know, something around there, and an X1.1. This X-class flare sent us into an R3 radio blackout, which was very, very strong. It persisted. It is still persisting today. It was mainly over these regions over here. I have the updated graph of where we are currently now, but this did have a CME. Initially, the report said no CME detected, and then it came back that there was a coronal mass ejection that was detected from this. However, zero Earth-directed components, so we are not expected to see any sort of geomagnetic storm because of that. However, this is still photonic light, so photonic light holds information. We will see an effect of this. We are seeing an effect of this today. Yesterday, if you were in my live yet again, you would know the repercussions of being sensitive to energies and this stuff and what it has to do and how it affects your body and things like that. And yet again, the majority of all our solar flares are coming from region 3615. As you can see, we had, well, above this, we had an M7. Now here's the M6. We had an M1.1. There's those ones I keep talking about. If you're on the right path, here's your ones. Okay, we're presented with that in the new timeline. So we have our M1. We had an M9.7 that was associated with this X1.1. Basically happened at the same exact time. It was just more of a long duration. And then today, okay, I was right. Yeah, M3.2. So much light going on. Still a high percentage of having more X-class flares. However, it is heading off of the southwestern limb, so chances of having any Earth-directed components are kind of small. because as you can see, it is definitely the largest region by far on our sun. And in the next couple of days, we can say bye-bye to 3615, and we really don't have much going on. So we might be in for a small little quiet period. However, just be aware that some of these sunspots can appear within less than 24 hours. Just pop up out of nowhere, give us an X-class flare and go. But our region 3615 is starting to decay as it heads off of the southwestern limb of the sun. Now, the CME is directed off of the sun-Earth line, so we won't see too much of an effect of that. And here is our sunspot region. So this came onto our sun on the 18th, and it was just as powerful as it is now. Beta, delta, and gamma configuration still massive in size, a massive number of sunspots in here. Proton levels actually went up to a 30% chance. So if we do have an Earth-directed component of a large solar flare, then we can have a chance of slipping into those S1 solar radiation storms because of the high level of protons, which is very minor, but that's going to be occurring latest chance around the 31st or so for a chance of a solar radiation storm. But still a large percent of having more X-class flares from here, although you can't really see the region in too much clarity now because it is heading off of the limb of the sun. But we are going to keep a lookout until the next coming of days when this dissipates, and then we are stuck with who knows what we're stuck with because the sun is unpredictable. So here's what our sun looks like currently. So here are the sunspot regions we have. 3615 is heading off of the limb of the sun. These are the ones that have already left. This is what is going to come onto the sun. This isn't going to happen until a couple of days, and then we'll be able to see exactly what these regions do look like, but they don't look very large. It doesn't look like there's too much involved in these regions. So yet again, we might have a very clear week leading up to the solar eclipse. However, who knows what's going to happen in between that time? It's harness energy time for them. So what will we be presented with is the question. Now, we had that M3.2 flare earlier this morning, and this is where we are at with our radio blackout with that. So we are having some communication issues, some minor communication issues over these areas right here, South America and Africa. But remember, it will keep moving back and forth, absorbing and going in and out of absorption, especially if we have more solar flares. It could be a little bit more intense, especially in the already weakened areas. And despite the very small amount of active regions we have several coronal holes that have popped up. Remember, there are like no sunspot regions over here like at all. We have this one right here that's 3615. Obviously, look at the amount of light and magneticism. But we have all of these streaming a lot of energy our way. So if we do have filament liftoffs, which is also an occurrence, we can always have those around these squiggly little lines right here. These would be filaments right here. And they can lift off like a coronal mass ejection and head towards Earth, basically like a volcano being hurled at us. But these coronal holes have popped up over the night. So I was really surprised to see the graph and see how many we really have. So all of our streaming energies are being sucked right back into it because our poles on our sun, not only that on Earth, but our sun are flipping right now. And yet again, we will not have that coronal mass ejection hit us. There are no Earth-directed components because it is above the Sun-Earth line. So just throwing it out there. I know X-class flare, we didn't get anything. I understand it's happened several times this year, despite having so many X-class flares, but that's okay because we're just in the beginning of 2024. So our solar wind speeds are pretty low right now. We're at 342.7 kilometers per second. So we are pretty nominal and we are just waiting there. We will have a weak enhancement from a positive polarity and an additional one from a CME that left on the 22nd. Now this is possible around the 31st. But we really don't have too much. There's not really going to be an aurora, even though we did have that X-class flare with the coronal mass ejection associated with it. But we're not going to see any geomagnetic storms. So quiet week, who knows? So if you're feeling fatigued, if you are just feeling drained, please rest. Today is a rest. Today is the day to ground. Today is the day to recollect your mind and your thoughts. You need to slow down. There's too much energy that is going on. It is shutting your body down. Go easy on yourself, do your self-care today. This is a great weekend to do that. And remember, later in the day, your heart and your head are going to be aligned. There's going to be a more positive aspect that is coming through. So just be patient. Let me know in the comments how this is affecting you.